And we are live.
Welcome back, everyone. Apologies for the delays there in getting the call set up, but thankfully we finally have it set up properly. And I'm delighted, as you can see here, Sarah is with us now to start our series of interviews. Sarah, firstly, thank you for joining us and be patient and us getting going.
No problem at all, you're grand. We got there.
Sarah, I suppose, look, I was actually thinking afterwards when you won it brought me back to my first year in the NEC because you won the junior that year. So I suppose, did you kind of feel back in June when you won it, did you kind of maybe kind of cross the good bridge back to that day in 2014?
Well, I suppose when the schedule came out to say that the championships were on down in Fermoy, again, I was delighted. The course just happens to suit me. So, and again, of course, just being in Cork, you get the chance to maybe have a few extra games than if you would if the championships were on up anywhere else in the country, really, So no, I was looking forward to taking it on anyway. But it's always just on the day, and you have to see how it goes, really, But I had hopes, but you never know, We can have good days and bad days, so that's why we keep turning up to the game, and you never know what is going to happen. It could be a personal best or personal worst, but thankfully it worked out on the day anyway.
Just talk about the weeks coming into it. Obviously, you took part in the scratch match playing Douglas. You had a very good performance there in one match, I suppose.
Yeah.
How did you kind of feel that benefited you, say, in the build-up, and I suppose the Munsters as well, and Bruff? Just how did you feel after those events?
Well, yeah, I suppose Jason, it kind of started this year really when we put our names down to play in the Catalonia Open, and that's on in April. So it kind of, when you have a date in the diary early in the year, it kind of, sets you up to say, God, I better get back on the course, get out practicing and stuff. So I played a bit more kind of earlier on this year than I would probably usually, really. So I had a good bit of practice put in. And really, I suppose, as it kicks off early, the season kicked off early, and I played a few extra scratch cups that I suppose usually that time of year I probably wouldn't. So it was good. I had gotten the practice in. I suppose the Cork Strokeplay was on down in Fermoy as well, and I'd gotten down to the course a few times before, so I had the chance to play there again. So I suppose I suppose just know the course well, and that obviously stood to me. Even though I had a few hiccups on the last few holes, I had done enough in the middle of the round. I played quite well, and I had bagged a few twos, and I was lucky I had them in the bag. So it all worked out well.
I suppose solid start with level par for your first 18 holes. How did you feel after that?
Well, I kind of thought, I said, right, if I'm level after the first round, I said, look, that's going to be thereabouts. I did feel like I needed a couple under to win it. So I kind of really put the head down and hoped, and a few twos did come my way, and I felt like I was on track. And then, as I said, I had a bit of a blip on the closing 3 holes, and I actually, when I finished, I was a bit disheartened, but I was actually out first, so I hadn't any idea what was behind me. So I just didn't know what to expect, really, and it was quite a while before I had an idea that I was up there, So it was great, yeah, really good.
I suppose the only player to shoot under par in the competition is a good achievement in itself, Sarah. I suppose Mary Quinn, obviously.
Mary Quinn had a great second round. Jeepers, you could never write Mary Quinn off anyway, and I knew that. You know the usuals on the scene, and I mean, there's a lot of players in that intermediate grade, and since, as you say, since starting played, I suppose 2014 was my first year, kind of back to the game, and being competitive and starting, and ever since 2014 it's the same players I'm seeing at every competitions, and we all get to know each other's strengths, and we know who to watch out for, and keep an eye on, and so yeah, I was never comfortable anyway, I'll tell you that much. I knew there'd be some shooting, some good scores done behind me, so but yeah, I was just thrilled it happened. I was kind of cut short, I suppose, when I won the 2020 championships in 2021. I was like saying afterwards, I had the shortest ever national title win. I only had it for 3 months. I said, that's not good enough at all for me now. I'll have to
and
go
actually
again.
only 53 weeks between your 2 wins.
It was, yeah, it was. But I suppose when I was handing back the cup in September there last year in Tullamore, I was like, oh no. it was a bit quick to be handing it back. So I was great to get my hands on it again, I'll be honest, yeah.
It's actually been a great start to get for you, because you won the ladies section of the Irish Open in Lockwood in 2020. Obviously, the 2020 Strokeplay was played in 2021 in Kilbegan.
Yeah.
And obviously, last month, it has been a very good decade for you so far, anyway.
A decade. It sounds long, but I know it's only 8 years, really. So we'll see what the next few years bring. But look, I love the challenge of all the competitions anyway. It brings out the best of my game, actually. And, I know going for practice rounds, we all try our best in the practice round, but it's nothing like having a card in your hand and really going for it, And but I do love the match play format as well, because, it's just so punishing. One bad hole in your game could be done. Whereas match play, you're kind of in it to the bitter end, really. You keep plugging away, even though things mightn't be going your way, but you can still keep in touch. So I enjoyed those games too, I must say.
I suppose as well, Sarah, do you kind of feel you're not far off competing at senior level now?
I'll be honest, Jason, I know myself, I've work to do on my game. There's a few areas I want to improve on, and I do need to improve by a number of shots to be up there. I'm under no illusions. I am off the pace a bit, but I do hope to keep challenging anyway, and I'll be trying my very best anyway. There'll be no doubt about that.
Just one more thing, I suppose, before we leave you go, Sarah. Obviously, we're putting on a Cork jersey soon. How much are you looking forward to inter-county pitch put again? Jason,
sore point, I'm actually not on the inter-county teams this year. I'm disappointed to be missing out, but that's the role the dice took in that. I unfortunately got COVID in the trial process, so that scuppered my chances a little bit. So, but look, jeepers, I'd be wishing the best for all the Cork ladies and all the competitors, really, to be honest. They're a fantastic championship to be part of. It's a tough one, I'll be honest with you, to be missing out on it, because I feel like I'm playing well enough, and I'd do quite well. But look, having said that, I wish all the teams the very best, and I think I just have to stick to the practice round out in the ground for a little while and contend the next ones. So that's all.
What events have you coming up that you're targeting?
Well, I suppose, look, a lot of the events were held early this year. The calendar events was all very early. There's actually the big championships wise, I suppose the Munster match play is on in Bishopstown there in September, so that's one that will be coming up. And after that, then it is their own, like the Cork match play championships, but that's a good while off. That's the end of October, so I hope to be competing in those. And other than that, it's just going to be getting out there, hopefully supporting some scratch cups and opens, and just keep enjoying the game, really, to be honest with you. And as I said, I've a lot of areas to work on in the game too, and I need to find a coach. So that's all. Yeah.
I suppose finally, Sarah, do you want just anyone else you want to mention? Anyone in Collins? I suppose just anything you want to mention before we leave the go.
Oh well, look, the Collins Club have been very good to me. We celebrate the win, and that was nice. And look, I think all the Cork clubs and players, we have a great group, and it's great to be involved and great to be seeing everybody. In the Irish Open Championships last weekend, there was a nice Cork contingent up there, and it was just fantastic to meet everyone from around the country and internationally as well. Last week it was really a fantastic weekend, and a credit to Darren and everyone up there who was involved in the committee. Actually, the organising committee of that was really fantastic, and hugely enjoyable. So the scramble in particular on the Friday was brilliant fun as well in Erie. So really enjoyed that, and it's just great to get out there and start meet more people out on the course, and from all the clubs and everywhere. So hope to keep doing that.
Indeed. Listen, Sarah, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Congratulations on your win again.
Thanks very much, Jason.
Not at all.
No worries. Thanks, Jason. Take care.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Bye. Thanks.
Sarah O'Neill there, our 2022 National Intermediate Ladies Strokeplay winner. Next up will be our Senior Ladies winner, Chrissie Sheedy from Royston.
She will be if I can get her up on the list. Jason, wished we have Chrissie.
Okay.
Well, whatever was happening before Jason isn't happening now, so.
Very good. The Gremlins have left us.
Not sure they have. Yeah, they have, I think.
Hello, Chrissie.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Not too bad. Apologies for the delay in coming
No,
through
you're fine.
with the delays we had here getting going.
No
We're
problem.
delighted you can join us.
Thanks,
I
Jason.
suppose, Chrissie, first thing I suppose that stood out to me when I looked at your win was actually 9 years since you last won the Senior Ladies. You wouldn't think it, I suppose, with what you've had, but kind of going back to Navan in 2013, you probably didn't think you'd be waiting this long to win the competition again.
That's right, Jason. 2014 was the last time I won. I suppose I did have a good record in between. Like, I had 3, if not 4, second place finishes in those years after. But yeah, it was a long time coming. But I suppose it was consistent, and once I kept being consistent, I suppose I always hoped that I would eventually knock on the door and the door would open, and it did. Thankfully, I was delighted with the win there for my.
So I think it was a lot happier trip for you to Cork than what you had 2 weeks earlier, I suppose. Yourself and Marion was always going to be, could have always been a banana skin for you. Look, I suppose, how did you feel after the game against her?
Look, you're always going to be disappointed losing any game in any championship, especially the first round of the national match play. But it was playing hard. It was a difficult course. At the end of the day, Marion played better than I did. She was 4 up at one stage. I did claw back to all square after 36, and she got a good putt on the first 5 hole to win. But I suppose Marion's no mean player herself. It didn't come as a surprise to me. At the end of the day, she's a 3-time national match play champion herself, and a fine player at that. So it was a great win for her, albeit I had to be at the losing end of it. But look, it is what it is. That's match play for you.
Well, what did you do, say, in between Douglas and Fermoy? Did you practice much, or did you just kind of not try and overburden yourself?
When we weren't playing on the Saturday in Douglas, I actually popped into Fermoy for a practice round before we went down to Douglas on the Saturday. So that was my practice on the course. I did actually play in Royston a number of times that week, so I did kind of put in a few hours practice, which did help. It did help. I was confident going into Saturday. I put a bit of work in, so it was all on the day, and thankfully it all went well for me. I pitched well, I putted well, I played well, and thankfully I came out with goals on the day.
I suppose playing on a Saturday was a different feeling for you, obviously. Normally you play on Sunday, so that was probably a bit of a logistical change. Just how did you feel after the first 18 holes?
Well, I turned 4 under. It was a solid round. It was a very solid round. I had one drop shot. I had 1-4. Then on the 3rd hole in the 2nd round, I took a 5, which put me back to 2 under, and I felt I had quite a bit to do there in the last 15 holes. But thankfully, I birdied 7 out of the last 14 holes. So I stuck with it. I had to blip on 3 in the 2nd round, but I stuck with it, hung in there, and 7-2s in the last 14 holes, and finished 5 for that round and 9 altogether. Yeah, so it was great.
Obviously, one big difference between Douglas and Fermoy was the fact your Ward was playing. And she was 7 under with 9 to go. Were you kind of conscious that it could end up level, or she could pass you out? Just what were you kind of thinking with nine holes left for her?
Would you believe, Jason, I wasn't aware of any scores when I was out there. I was out quite early. I was one of the first out, and I wasn't aware of any scores after first round. I just kind of kept my head down and played my 18 holes, played my 36 holes, and kind of waited for everyone to come in to see. It was only after I was in that I heard that Jer was doing well out there. And yeah, it's only after she was in that I heard she had the blip as well. So yeah, I wasn't aware of any scores while I was out playing.
A bit of a surprise, I suppose, second place finisher Glenda Hoy when she was on the podium there as well for the intermediate back in 2014. I suppose very, very interesting to see a player like her get on the podium with the silver medal.
Glenda's a fine player. I've played with her in inter-counties. I've played with her in other competitions as well, and she is a well capable player, one of the best in Dublin. So that didn't come as a surprise to me at all. She had won a Leinster Strokeplay in Kilbeggan with a fantastic score. She was well ahead of the field a couple of years back. Maybe it was the year before COVID, 2019. So that was no surprise at all. Glenda's a fine player, and I've no doubt she'll be moving to gold in the years to come.
Were you happy with 9 under overall, Chrissie, for 36 holes?
I was, Jason. It was, look, breaking 100 in any competition is a very good score. For my is tricky but very fair course. 9 under, 4 and 5 under, very consistent. As I say, I had 3 drop shots, but I felt it was a very good score, and yeah, thankfully it was good enough to win.
One thing that's coming up, Chrissie, obviously we're looking forward to everyone in their inter-county colours again. Obviously it is going to be a different inter-county this year with teams of 4, but how happy are you that the competition is back after not being able to be held for the last 2 years?
That's right, Jason. It's brilliant. It's great to get the Kildare ladies together again. We've a great record in it. Well, coming down to four in a team now, I suppose it's the time we're in, and hopefully with that change happening, hopefully more counties will be able to enter it. I don't know, the draw's not out yet, but hopefully it will see that more counties have entered this year. But if not, maybe it's something that the NEC need to kind of look at and see, maybe going back in years ago when there was 10 or 11 ladies teams entered in it.
You still there, Chrissie?
What in it? Saying that I'm still here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, no, there was just a delay for a second there.
Sorry. Saying Jay again, look at the format again. Going back. Yeah, are you there?
Yeah, talk away.
Yeah, sorry. Going back when 10, 11 teams were entering it, like it was a 36-hole stroke play event at that time over one day, so maybe that's something that needs to be revisited and possibly looked at going forward.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, Chrissie, you were there at the national under-16 match play in Royston 2 weeks ago. You were there for the girls' final between Sarah Cooney and Sophie Moynihan. I suppose very encouraging to see the number of girls that entered and the fact that they had a full round robin like the boys as opposed to a straight knockout over the years. It is encouraging to see that level of entries at girls' level.
Yeah, there was 14 entries that day. It was brilliant, and the standard of the final was exceptional. The pitching from both of those girls was fantastic, and they had plenty of birdies between them. But it would be great to kind of keep those girls playing in the game, and maybe encourage them to keep on playing into adult ranks. And but the quality of that final was something fantastic. Sarah and Sophie should be very proud of their play. I watched most of it.
Indeed. The rest of the year.
Yeah, the Leinster match play is local this year. I think it's in, I don't know whether the ladies are in Garvan or St. Bridget's, but I know it's local for us anyway, so that'll be something to to look forward to. I have the cup, so I will be defending my title. The county match play then towards the end of October, and also the national mixed foursomes. I also play in that with my brother-in-law Darren, so that'll be one to look forward to in late side in October.
Your 10th individual title between Strokeplay and match play. I suppose with the surname Sheedy after you, I suppose this is one that'll stand out for you anyway in years to come when you look back.
Well, indeed, Jason. Yeah, it was number 10 is always, God, that was a great feat to get to double digits. So and to be up with the likes of Gerard Ward, to be kind of alongside them is a huge achievement, which I'm very proud of. Whether I end on 10 or if I add to it, I'll be very happy. Yeah.
Chrissie, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us this evening. We wish you well for the rest of the year. Maybe we might well be having another championship 40 years over and done with. But thank you very much, and we wish you well for the weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jason.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
That was Chrissie Sheedy there, our national lady. We're only just joining us. Our junior ladies winner, Marianne Byrne from Fermoy, unfortunately is not available tonight, but we do hope to talk to her in some form in the coming weeks. We'll now shortly be moving on to our 3 men's winners, starting off firstly with Glen Martin from Killian, the junior champion. Then we'll have Killian O'Gorman from Listowel, our intermediate champion. And finally, Sean Goggin from McBride, our senior champion.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Glen there now, Jason.
No problem. You see him here. Might see a nice sight of Tenerife yet.
Hello.
Hello, Glen.
Hi, Mark. How's things?
No, it's Jason.
This is Jason, you're speaking to Glen firstly.
Sorry. How's things?
How are you doing? What's it like over in Tenerife firstly? What temperature is it?
Oh, 27 or 28 degrees now at the moment, yeah.
Well, we had some temperatures like that ourselves 2 weeks ago here in Ireland, so you got acclimatised that way to it.
Oh, yeah.
Glen, I suppose we'll go back to the first Saturday in July. Obviously, great win for you in Ringcommons. I suppose now nearly a month later, how do you reflect back on it?
Yeah, it's just hard to believe, it happened. It's just, I played pitch and putt for years and years when I was younger, juvenile, and never really came close to winning Leinster and All Ireland, and it just, everything seemed to click on the day,
I suppose, how were you playing, or say more recently, I suppose over the last few years, maybe even the weeks leading up to Ringcommons, just how were you playing in general?
Well, in the years leading up, I haven't really played now at all since juvenile, so that's about 10 or 11 years ago. So I just started back this year, just maybe about two months before, say the Leinsters, and just got started back. Just I seen a few of the competitions were local, and my father's big into pitch and putt, so he kind of said it to me, maybe give it a go to join back up, and yeah, I started off when I was practicing back again like 2 or 3 times a week, just in the few weeks leading up, and I was hitting the ball very well, and kind of felt like maybe I'd have a chance. That was up to the Leinster, and then again I wasn't really playing too much then in between, but a few practice rounds I was pitching the ball very well, coming up to the All Ireland as well, so you knew you had a chance. But there's always a lot of good players, when it comes to the All Ireland, and even though the Leinster was a high standard as well, but you have Munster coming in and players from all around, so it's going to be difficult.
What was qualifying like out loud? Did you qualify comfortably, or did you have to squeeze in?
No, funny enough, I didn't actually play well on that day. I was actually last in on 5 over now. So I was up in Donegal the night before and was driving back, so I was a bit tired playing, that was at 9 o'clock in the morning to Loud, so it was a good spin, so I just about scraped in, yeah.
You'll find a lot of stories of national champions with that very same thing getting in the last spot. Indeed. Just tell us about your first 36 holes on the day.
Yeah, so I had 6 under in the first round now. Kind of went around with a few, maybe 2 or 3 good pitches where I'd say I left them to about maybe 3-4 foot. But then I had a good few pitches that were off. Now the rest of my birdies came from putts off the green. So I was kind of a 6 under without playing too well now, and I think I had a chip in with that as well, and 1-4 I think for the 6 under. So it was a decent 6 under, but then my second round I took a 4 on the first from on the greens, so I was thinking it was a bad start after having a good first round. And then I struggled a lot with the pitching in the second round. I stayed on 1 over for most of the round up until maybe 13 or 14, and then I think I bogeyed, and then I birdied the 17th just to finish 1 under for the second round. So it was a battling round. It was a lot of hard fought trees that really got me there in that round.
And it was very tight actually. If you look at the scoring overall, obviously Glen Buckley, Robbie Harnett, a few more players there. It was actually very tight. I suppose there was no real clear favourite going out in that playoff.
Yeah. And as I said, I was lucky that if I was level par or 1 over for the second round, you'd nearly classify yourself as out because you'd be 4 or 5 behind a few of them,
Just talk us through the playoffs, say the first 9 holes. How are you feeling?
First 9 holes, yeah, I think I started off with a birdie on the second. I hit it close now and got that, and then I was pitching quite well, but I didn't get any of the next few, I don't think, up until maybe, I think it was the 7th. I actually had a bad pitch and was short, and it was a difficult chip, but I kind of hit the fringe with the chip, and it just bumped into the hole. It dropped for a 2, so that was a bonus. And then I think I got maybe the 9th, and from around the 8th hole on, I think I nearly had a putt on every hole where I thought after maybe 4 or 5 more after the 7th, I think I got 1 more, but I missed a few. I was thinking it might not be my day, that I missed quite a few putts up until that now. And then obviously just the last few holes, I think the pitching just kind of clicked, I was just getting on the greens and the putts were going in, and just all came together. And it was the last 6 holes really that done it for me,
Did you try not to think too much about getting over the finish line too quickly, where you just take it hole by hole?
Yeah, pretty much now. Would you believe it now? On the 18 tee box, I wasn't sure what score I was because I wasn't really. I was just concentrating on the next hole. After I got, so I think it was say the 6th last and the 5th last. I kind of knew I'm in with a shout right now, So I wasn't looking around and I wasn't asking what any other scores were, and just kind of concentrating on the next hole and next pitch. So it was just I was kind of in a zone where I wasn't looking at the outside world, and just concentrating on your next shot.
Well, when you had signed the card and you realised, you looked at the scoreboard after, and geez, I'm going to win this. Just what sort of a feeling was that?
Oh, it was great. Yeah. I didn't really even realise, because obviously I was the second last 3 ball out, so you weren't 100% sure what was behind you. But when I pitched on the 18th, there was a big cheer, So. And when I knocked in the putt, there was a big cheer, so I still didn't know if I'd won it, but obviously everyone else kind of seemed to know I must have been a few shots ahead.
A great feeling to win a national, I suppose. Look, it would have been nicer, I suppose, if the event had been on in Killian here in front of your home club to win it there. I suppose talk about that as well, Glen. Four people from the club have won this event. It's a significant achievement for the club.
Yeah. The last fella now was Darren. I think Darren McCann won it. Was it Darren McCann or Daniel Clinton? I think won it a good few years ago. And Darren McCann, they're 2 players that I would have known when I was in juvenile. Darren McCann was playing a bit, and I would have known Daniel Clinton from around the club as well. Yeah. So it's good to add your name to the list.
I know you couldn't really celebrate too much because you had to go to the Irish Open the following day. What was it like walking around the Irish Open being a national pitch putt champion the following day?
Oh well, you're anonymous, nobody knows you there. So, but still a great feeling,
Mm-hmm. what's coming up for you soon, Glen? Are you playing in County Budlow this year, or are you playing?
We're playing the Intercounty now. It's coming up in our own club now, and that's actually next weekend. Yeah, next Saturday I think it is. Yeah. So
what else are you guys targeting for the rest of the year?
not really a whole lot now, to be honest. I'm not really sure what's in the pipeline. I'd be quite busy with work and stuff, so I often don't have weekends off, or I'd be quite busy. So just aiming at the Inter-County now coming up.
Is there anyone, I suppose, just before we finish up, is there anyone in the club in particular you'd like to make mention of, or mention anyone else that's helped you along the way?
Well, just my father, obviously. He's been the one that kind of, when he started me off when I was younger at pitch and putt, and brought me up and showed me how to play and practice, and just my mother as well, and then pretty much everyone in the Killian or Cement Club, as we call it, and all just the best of luck to our Loud team now, and the other Loud teams coming up now for Saturday and Sunday coming up. And just thanks to PPU, for hosting all the events.
Thank you, Glen. Well, I suppose first and foremost, we wish you a safe trip back home tomorrow. We'd like to thank you for taking time out of your holiday to Tenerife to speak to us, and we hope you enjoy the remainder of your holiday. And we wish you all the best in Loud Jersey and for the rest of the year as well.
Thanks very much, Jason. See you now.
Thank you, Glen.
Bye-bye.
I'll be going further north to Kerry for our next conversation, which will be with Killian O'Gorman of the Stole, who actually won himself in Killian. He's speaking to Killian shortly.
Yeah, just waiting for it to connect there. Here you go, Jess.
There he is. Hello, Killian.
How are you, Jason?
Not too bad. Are they all up north?
All great, thank God.
No doubt celebrating after Tuesday night. We might talk about that later. But I suppose the national win firstly, Killian. I suppose tremendous for you. Look, I know you played as a juvenile here in Kerry. You were away for a few years. You came back about 4 or 5 years ago. You won an inter-county with Kerry Intermediates in Partine in 2018, Munster Inter-County. I suppose for a national win, how significant is that for you?
It was all I wanted, to be honest. I was chasing it for a while and I thought I'd never come, but thankfully it came to that day, so all good.
Well, you got down to seeing her a bit too quickly, maybe, for your own liking.
Small bit, yeah.
I suppose those few weeks leading up to the closing date were nervous for you.
Oh, very, very. I try to make competitions as limited as possible.
I suppose, Killian, we'll just talk. Obviously, look, qualifying was on in your home course in the Stole. You would have been happy to qualify from there. Just how did you feel after the qualifiers that morning?
To be honest, I was disappointed with myself because I actually didn't play great on the day. The win came, I was tormenting to myself. I didn't feel great, to be honest. I scraped over the line. But look, I got over the line, so I was kind of thinking to myself, look, put that to the side and just get on with it again. And be ready for the main event.
Killian, was an absolutely fantastic start for you, 800. Did it flatter yourself a bit that you started that well?
Well, maybe I was great. I felt great, but it just I went to get a drink and stuff inside, and I was raw. I would have rather go straight in again to get me just to keep the rhythm going. It kind of when I went in, it kind of took a bit of the rhythm out of me, so it was kind of a slower start. So yeah, I was great. I thought, geez, I said, Killian, this is it now. I said, come on, get going again, and it took me a while to get going again.
What were you thinking during the second round? I mean, obviously you didn't prove your score to 9, but were you kind of worried that someone was going to come and pass you out?
Oh, I was very worried, yeah. And I did the bunker on the 5th, and I took a 5, and I said, Killian, you have to throw this away, man. What are you doing? And I was tormenting myself, because I do torment myself, but when my father is there, he usually just looks at me to say, cop on yourself, that kind of way. So if he wasn't there, I probably would have tormented myself, and I probably would have thrown it all the way. So glad I didn't.
I suppose, look, you were in the final group for the playoff, two other lads with you at 900. Just what were you? Just take us through the initial few holes of the playoff.
Like I said to myself, I said, look, Killian, look, play your own game. I was just trying to play my own game, and I was thinking to myself, look, if I end up a better score than these, I have a right chance. So I was thinking to myself, Birdie have to come on. I said, I'm going well there. I felt pure comfortable and confident. I actually felt confident for once. I actually usually never feel very confident, but I was confident this time. And when Birdie started flowing and the support was there, I just felt great, to be honest. I felt this could be my day.
And obviously Bobby McCarron from the stall was in the playoff too, so there was more local interest for you. Just get down to the last few holes, I suppose. I'm not sure it was the 15th or 16th you went ahead on the scoreboard, but just what were you kind of thinking when you got down to that stage of it?
On the 15, I thought I practiced on that Friday, and I played the 15. I said, geez, this hole is going to torment me. And when I pitched it, I felt good. The connection was good, and I said, it's on the green. I said, once it's on the green is the main thing, because I was worried coming down to it. And then I rolled the putt in from about 10 feet, and that's when I went into the lead. But I didn't know. I didn't know anything. No one taught me nothing. So I said, look, if I can try to get 2 birdies in the last 5 holes, I should be thereabouts. And then I missed a putt on the 17th from about 5 feet. And I thought that was my chance gone. I thought I needed it to win it. I thought it was level, I'd say. But then I thought if I could make that, I could win it. But I went down to the 18th tee box then, and I forget his name again, who was playing with me, but he says, one more good swing and it's yours. But I didn't know, like, you know. And thankfully I pitched the ball and spot I was in the second round. But actually, when I was in that spot, I was putting for par in the second round, and I missed it. But it was kind of a similar putt, so when I walked up, I was confident I'd be able to get up and down too. And thankfully I did.
The crowd that was there, Killian, is it one of the biggest crowds that ever been watching you playing around?
For definite. The support is massive. And I just want to say a great thanks to my friend Packer as well. Like he just came up for the weekend just to watch me play, and the support was great, and I'm thankful for that.
It was significant for Kerry, obviously, Killian, because 53 weeks earlier, Michael Conway won it down St. Stephen's in Cork, and obviously yourself. I suppose it is a great time, obviously, for the stall at the moment, obviously, not just with your win, obviously. I suppose playing the numbers and membership, obviously, the under-16s is going very well there too. It is a good time for you at the moment, not least with Tuesday night as well.
Yeah, great. Thankfully, we have all our juveniles and everything. Our club is actually running very well at the moment, and we're in a great position. It's nice to see.
I suppose it's amazing. Like, I bring up the Kerry perspective just to let people know the Tim Scannell inter-club match playing Kerry was on Tuesday night, was fleeing the stall in the final, and would you know it, the whole competition came down to Kerry's last two national intermediate winners, yourself and Michael Conway going to the third playoff hole in Castle Island. I suppose that was some feeling in fading daylight.
Unbelievable. It was a relief. It was actually a relief, because I said before the game started, Chris was saying to me, he said, who would your ideal, Chris Gibbon, he said, who's your ideal person to play? And my confidence is up, to be fair, and I said, I want to play Michael Conway. I just wanted to play him. I just had it in my head. I wanted to play him. It's not that Mike Conway is one of the nicest fellas you'll ever meet, but I just had the confidence that I wanted to play him.
It's a great win, as I said. The club won the Bob Casey, which is the inter-club Strokeplay Kerry last year, so to win the match play event this year as well is a good follow-on for that.
Oh, unbelievable. Great for the club. The club's running well at the moment, and we're in high spirits, thank God. Looking forward for our Scratch Cup now Monday.
That's what I was going to ask you about next. I suppose you will feel a lot more confident playing as a senior this year.
Oh, hopefully I can get it this time. I finished third there about 3 years ago as an intermediate. Hopefully we can go 2 better this time.
Indeed. Well, Killian, we wish you well for the rest of the year as well. I know we've done a few events you'll be taking part in, but we congratulate you on the win, and we wish you all the best of luck on Monday as well.
Thanks very much, lads. Cheers for that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Man left. Our senior rings winner from Ring Commons on the first Sunday in July, Sean Goggin of McBride. Be talking to him here shortly about a momentous win for him.
Just waiting for him to connect there now.
No problem. Just one thing I want to mention as well, while we're waiting for Sean, is that we will have profiles of our national over 55s champions on the website tomorrow, compiled by John Manning. They will be going tomorrow on the website. They will be written profiles.
Okay. Here we are.
Hello, Sean.
Lads, how you doing?
Not too bad, Sean. I suppose, firstly, Sean, a month on now, has it fully sunk in yet?
Yeah, it has, to be fair. Enough people congratulating and stuff like that, Jason, so it's been wonderful, you know?
Sean, I suppose we go back to last year when Ian Donnelly won it. Obviously, you got into the semi-final of the match play, but did it spur you on a bit seeing Ian do it, that you felt, I can do it now as well?
Well, it was kind of one of them. Last year, I felt as if I'd done myself a bit of justice, and it was just didn't get over the line, Jason. But, you know, I kept saying to myself, look, if I keep knocking on the door, eventually I'm going to get there, and eventually the door did open, so I was delighted that happened, Jason, you know?
I suppose, Sean, for maybe those that mightn't be so familiar with your career, just tell us how long you've been playing pitch and post, how much you've been involved over the years.
Well, I started about 12 or 13 in the Boyne Valley Hotel in Drogheda. A lot of people wouldn't know it, but it was based in the hotel grounds of the Boyne Valley. Frank Penderson and a few of the boys started, and a guy by the name of Bing Wynn, I suppose he was myself and Porrick Sarsfield's answers like to Davy Redmond in Old County, where he used to bring the uncles around to play. And then obviously he had great patience, taught us how to play the game. So then when we turned 16 and got into the adult grade, we used to go to opens and stuff like that. So it was kind of down to him that I got the love for the game. He played a lot of sport, but I really enjoyed the pitch and putt, Jason. So lucky enough, I just kind of stuck at it and got the just rewards.
Go back to 2013, Sean, when you got to the national match play final that year against Ray Murphy, went all the way to the last hole. Did you kind of feel that it was going to come through a bit sooner than what it has? How did you feel after that year in Lucan?
Yeah, 2013 was a bit strange. It was one of them years that I just had a good year. But look, I don't know. Look, it's in the lap of the gods, really, because it's very hard to get out of Louth, Jason. You know, we have a lot of great players in Louth, and the unfortunate part about it is the rule wasn't in that the top four were automatic. So, like, obviously everybody knows Ray, and it was a pleasure to play him. And I couldn't have given it any better shot, and just didn't get over the line. And I thought, you know, I'm good enough to be on this stage now, but you know, there's so many good players in the game, Jason, that you never know when you'll get an opportunity again. Like, I didn't get back into the match play until 2016, 2017 after that, after being beaten in the final and coming so close. And when he beat me in 2000, I think it's 2007 in Strokeplay in the semi-final, I think it was another 3 or 4 years before I got back out aloud again, because we have the Mark Millers, the Ian Donnellys, the Porrick Sarsfields, the George Bearsleys, the Darren Fagans. We have a lot of good players in Louth, and unfortunately, because the county is so small, we only ever get 1 or 2, maybe 3 qualifiers for these kind of things, Jason. So, you know, you always like to think once you get there that you'll give it a go, that's for sure. But look, you can never be sure, you know.
How much would you say winning a few Leinsters has brought your game on, Sean?
Well, ironically enough, it was a bit like a bus, Jason. You know, I waited for one of them to come for so long, and the two of them kind of came back to back, which is unusual, the first Leinster title. I mean, when I see all the names on it, these are all players that I would have looked up to growing up, you know, as a 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, the David Hayes, the Derek Cordies, the Sean Downs, the Willie Buckleys and Leinster and stuff, and Skinner and stuff like that. And I would have looked at all them and saying, I would love my name on just one of the 4, either one of the provincials or one of the nationals. And been very lucky this year, Jason, that I happened to get my name on both of them in the 1 year, which is just mind-blowing, to be fair, you know.
I know Douglas was a tough experience for you with Gary O'Sullivan, but how much would you say it spurred you on in Ring Commons then?
Well, I was after winning the Leinster the week before. I went down to play Gary. Look, we all know Gary. He hasn't played in a lot of years, but we know the calibre of the man. I mean, you don't make Cork teams and win Munster match play titles, you know, without being a half-decent player, Jason. And went down to Douglas, and everything was going according to plan, and then I switched off for literally a split second, Jason, for literally, you know, I think it was the 13th, kind of 3-putted from about 4 feet. And then, as all good players do, Gary went on then and racked up 14, 15 and 16, and sure, bet on the second playoff hole, and it's up the road. Hard luck, Sean.
What about qualifying the following weekend?
Yeah, well, it was one of them. It was kind of, we went up to cement, and obviously still wasn't in the best of form after the match play, and again, Louth being a very tough county to get out of. The score was fairly high in Killian that day. There was a bit of wind up there, there was a bit of rain up there, and very, very lucky to get through, Jason. Was kind of one shot behind with about 3 holes to go, and ended up 40 and 16, and the hole in 1 to 17, which took the pressure off. But only for that, Jason, I wouldn't have been in ring commons. That's how tight the margins are, in the game, especially in Louth.
What about ring commons as a course, Sean, from what you played in the past? Just how were you feeling about it in the days leading up?
Well, I played ring commons a lot of years ago, Jason, about 6 or 7 years ago, and I always thought like the setup of it was amazing. The clubhouse, the parking, how easy it is to get to, all that kind of thing, and all the attributes. And then Colin Bourne got involved in it about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, maybe, I could be wrong. And this course just went from strength to strength. Now, we've been very lucky because, like, during the winter, kind of, at the end of January, February, Jason, we get together on the Sunday morning, have a bit of crack, and we would have played ring commons on a couple of Sunday mornings, and you could see it was just getting better and better and better. And it was a credit to him and the team, not just Colin, because he won't take all the credit anyway, but everybody in ring commons did a fabulous job.
Talk to us about the first 36 holes, Sean, that day. How did you feel?
Yeah, well, the draw was fabulous to me. Because obviously I'd Mark there. I mean, Mark's been there, he's done that, he's bought the t-shirt. And I was with Evan, and he's definitely one for the future. Evan Ganley, he was very, very good. By his own admission, a bit nervous. I was a bit nervous. Mark was a bit nervous because obviously it was on a local patch. So it went reasonably well. I mean, the only thing about it is I missed a couple of short putts that I should have got. But look, that's the game, and that's how it pans out. But ironically enough, I was very lucky with the people I played with that day, Jason, because between Mark and Evan pushing each other around all the time, and then I had 2 nice fellas in the playoff as well, with Ray and with Graham Flanagan,
Talk to us about the playoff and where you were. It was so tight, but do you think in hindsight it was good that maybe we were back a small bit from where the leaders were just on the course?
Yeah, I think the fact that I was a little bit back, it was kind of a free hit, Jason, if you like. Just you go out and have a go. And I was kind of lucky enough. I was kind of 6 after 8 and took a bogey on the 9th. And Ray was brilliant and Graham was brilliant. You just said, look, get back on the horse here now and have another go, So, look, it was brilliant to do it. Look, I always said if I won a national title or a Leinster title, I'd like to finish in a blaze of glory. And Jason, I think I was just lucky enough to do that, to get the last 5. But again, great encouragement from Graham, and obviously the greatest of all time was there beside me, and he just said, just keep going, just keep giving yourself chances, keep seeking, you knock them in the hole, and hopefully something will happen, So, look, I posted the score. Did I think it was going to be enough? Not the way Gary and James were playing. I really didn't. I kind of said to myself, there's a good chance here this could be a playoff, but look, as it turned out, it was good enough, Jason, and look, I'm over the moon. Let's be honest, I'm over the moon.
I suppose as everybody went in, what were you thinking?
I was just thinking,
in that last 5 holes.
Yeah, look, I've always listened to people down through the years. As I said, all the great players that have won this cup and many other cups. The hardest thing sometimes is to chase the score, Jason. And I just said to myself, with a bit of experience, I just said, post the score and see if it's good enough, and let the boys try and catch it. And as I said, I was lucky, very, very lucky that the boys didn't catch me.
I remember in your speech, obviously, you spoke about your father and how significant to win it was. Just, I suppose, in the week since, what has it been like for him, I suppose, telling everyone his son is the national champion?
Yeah, it's kind of a surreal moment, Jason. Look, anybody that knows me down through the years and all the players that are around the country, they all know my dad. My dad goes to all of them, and it was just one of them, because he was slagging me going up in the car. He said, well, you wouldn't mind winning this one today. He said, it wasn't at the Leinster. He said, Shehoria, he said, I've been to everything for the past 20 years. One weekend I don't go with you, you win the Leinster title. So I said, look, Dad, we give it a go and see what happens. So he was delighted, obviously, and I'm delighted for him, and I'm delighted he was there. And my brother was there as well. So, it was a lovely moment. It was definitely a lovely moment to see him smiling at the end of it, so it was great.
Now, obviously, this won't be decided until the end of the year, but for the moment, Sean, you're Irish number 1. I suppose, just what sort of a feeling is that?
Jason, I don't take too much stock of that. Look, it reads well and all that kind of stuff, but when you look at all the players that are there, you can go down to 200 or 250, and there's fabulous players down there, Jason. It's just that, like, the ranking systems, it is what it is. We all know what it is. and you get the ranking points for your Leinsters and your nationals and all that, and your counties and all that kind of stuff. But there's so many good players. I'm there by name, but am I there on merit? I don't know. Time will tell. If I was lucky enough, or if I was ever lucky enough to win one again, maybe. I don't know. But for now, look, we'll just take it for what it is and see. Like, I look at the people in the top 20, and there's so many brilliant players there. I keep saying it, Jason, because we all know, and you've been there, you've seen it. There is so many good players in this game. It's a drop of a putt here, or a chip in here, or a chip in there. Like, I look at Gary and James. I've been there, Jason, to get so close and yet so far. And, like, them boys will come again. So does that make me a better player than them? No, on the day, it was my day, Jason, and that's just the way it is. But, sometimes, you just get the rub of the green, and I think that's what I got in Ring Commons.
Of course, now, Sean, you'll be putting on the Loud jersey for the first time in 3 years. I suppose, how much you're looking forward to it? How much do you miss that aspect of the game?
I love the team thing, Jason. Like, as I said, I've played pitch and putt a lot of years, but I've been very lucky. I've been involved with a lot of teams, soccer teams and Gaelic teams, and I love the team aspect. And I love playing with the lads as well. I mean, look, like, you have Mark, you have Ian and Darren and Jim and George. We're all playing with each other. There's 30 years. So it's great to play together. And if you look at the people that have missed out, the Barry Thorntons, the David O'Briens, the Porrick Sarsfields and Loud, we're tight-knitted as a team, especially when it comes to Intercounty. And I would love nothing better to go to Sea Point and win in Sea Point. And I'd love nothing better to go to Rock Lodge, Jason, and maybe give it a go down there. Because I love the Intercounty. Always did.
I suppose, look, it is a momentous anniversary to 2002 was the last time Loud won it. So 20 years on, it would be a lovely gap to bridge if you can manage it in Rock Lodge.
Yeah, look, I think we've been lucky and unlucky. I mean, Dublin won it in McDonagh as opposed to Loud losing it. Cork came very strong as well in Royston, and it'd be lovely to win it. Down in Rock Lodge. Well, do I call it the home of pitch and putt? Cork, we all know how Cork have been, how strong they've been in inter-counties all down through the years. Look, we'll all be trying, Loud will be trying, Dublin will be trying, Wexford. Everybody that goes down there is going to be trying, Mark. And, I think it'd be an amazing feat to go down there and challenge, and if you were lucky enough again to hop of a ball or a chip or a putt or whatever, and we were lucky enough to be winning, it would be a fabulous achievement, an absolute fabulous achievement.
I suppose, Sean, before we finish up, is there anyone you want to mention as well, either in McBride or anything else? And I suppose, just what advice would you give to players that are trying to get your level all across the board?
Yeah, look, I just think you just have to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. I mean, I wouldn't be the most natural player in the world. There is players on art that I have to work in the game, and that takes a lot of time and effort. And it's great to have family support as well, because as we all know, we're out 2 and 3 nights a week, or we're away all weekends playing, and that takes a bit of commitment through families as well. So it's great to have that kind of support. But all I would say is, if you just keep going and keep trying. I mean, when I came into the junior ranks at 16, all I ever wanted to do was be a senior. All I wanted to do was get down and play against like Johnny Campbell and Terry Hannity and all these fellas in Loud, and eventually got there through hard work. But look, you just have to keep going and having a go at it, Jason. There's no ifs or buts about it. You just have to keep playing and playing and practicing and practicing and practicing. Put the time in. That's how you get to that level.
It's actually a great time for Loud at the moment. Obviously, we were speaking to Glen Martin earlier. Sarah Cooney from Sea Point won the girls' match play. She also won the girls' Strokeplay last year. Things are going very well in Loud at the moment.
Yeah, as a county, we definitely bat above our station. I look at the Donnelly Cup here, for example, and 3 out of the last 6 winners have been from Loud. We had Mark Miller in 2017, we did last year, and obviously me this year. And the only one to break us up was Damien Fleming and Shane Murphy, two of the greats of the game. Unfortunately, Shane's no longer with us. We all know that. But Damien will come again, and no doubt he'll have his name on this as well. But look, as a county, I think we do very, very well. Glen is a super player. We looked at Glen years ago when he was coming through saying, this is great. And he went off and he's playing football or soccer or whatever, and he's come back into the game now, which is great to see. And we had Gary Coyle, and we had a couple of others there above in Killian that were thereabouts as well on the Saturday in the intergrade. So it's great to see all these players coming through, and hopefully they can come into the senior grade as well, and we can just keep pushing on. It's great to see Sarah's steeped in pitch and putt, as you know, with Oliver and Jean down through the years, and it'd be great to see a few more girls and a few more boys playing. I mean, my own little fella's 8, and he's mad for pitch and putt now because his dad won this, and look, we'll get him into it and see what happens. and a few more.
Indeed, Sean. Listen, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and we wish you well, I suppose, both in the Leinster Inter-County as well as the National Inter-County in Rockledge in September. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, Sean Goggin, our 2022 now. To finish with, I'll have a few words with our president. Mark, I suppose great to hear from our 5 champions tonight and their love and their passion for the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, it comes through. Like, I mean, no matter what grade you are or where you are playing, it just shows they love the game. They don't play it otherwise, like. But I'm particularly struck there with Sean and the passion he has for the game, and he's steeped in the history of it. And the last line he said, that his own 8-year-old is mad for it and getting him into that's what you want to hear, guys. That's what we need, like, you know. But look, they're all brilliant, like, and I mean, they've all had a fantastic year. All their national titles are hard come by, and they've done absolutely brilliant, all of them.
Just as well, Mark, I suppose for people that might have missed it earlier when we tried our first call, obviously last weekend in Tullamore, FIPA Congress took place, and our honorary secretary Michael Murphy was elected president of FIPA. I suppose a proud moment for Michael. Obviously, he's so steeped in our game, and I suppose to become the latest president of FIPA is a great milestone for him.
Absolutely. Look, Victor Moscatel had 2 terms, 8 years. I suppose, look, 2 years of it was badly interrupted with the COVID, but Victor's term was up, and Victor approached me months ago and was there someone in Ireland willing to go forward and whatever. And eventually, look, Michael was, when I said it to Michael, several people had approached him actually, some from abroad as well. And then when I said it to him, would he consider it? And I was delighted he took it on. And look, Michael is a great advocate for the game, passionate about the sport and about the international game, but realistic as well, and that you must look after your game here at home and make sure everything is going right. But once that's in place, the international game is going to be very strong in the next few years going forward.
Mark, just before we finish as well, I suppose just anything from NEC level that you'd like to make people aware of. I know obviously, look, we're all looking forward to the inter-county events coming back over the next few weeks.
Look, we spoke in Douglas the night of the draw, and I made it very clear the buzz of inter-county weekends is brilliant. Every player in their county jersey, the flags flying, it's a brilliant. The weekends are brilliant, both in the provincials and in the nationals. This year, for the first time, I'm going to see Leinster provincial titles. I did make a trip a few years ago, but it was rained out. But I'm going to see Leinster provincials this year before I head back down on the Sunday for the Munster provincials. You know, and I'm looking forward to that. Because, look, I said at the start, I have to be a president for the whole country, and I've been up and down, and it's great meeting people up there. And the passion is the same. This is the thing, and they all love the game. They all have the same problems. They all have the same ideas to solve the problems. But, look, we'll get there. I suppose some of the main things, look, you touched on it with Chrissie. Look, that idea for ladies going to 4-side has been muted with along many years now. I remember listening to it ever before I was on the NEC. And I just, you know, when we spoke about it earlier, we just felt it was the right thing to do. I know some people are upset with it, and no matter what you try, some people will be upset. And Chrissie's right. This is over the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years probably, it will at least, and you have to give it a good go. Will only work if we get the extra teams in, and we're working hard on getting in the extra teams and persuading them. You know that, you know, go to your provincials, come to Rock Lodge. And hopefully we can get back to 10 teams. It'll be brilliant. The juveniles as well. We've changed the juveniles. Teams of 4-a-side now.
I suppose obviously, look, that change has been with cost. I suppose for people at the moment has been a factor in that.
Look, we've listened all year. We've listened all year to county board officials, and more importantly to parents. Hotels prices are gone crazy. Travelling has gone crazy and everything. So by switching to a 54-hole format, as such for the intercounties and all in one day at both provincial and national level. I hope that will help people. I think it has, because I think it means we're going to have seven or eight teams, or maybe 10 teams, if all pans out in Deer Park for the nationals, which would be great, and should be a great spectacle. And look, the forms went up for the national under 16s Strokeplay and intercounty, and the under 20 Strokeplay, which we hope will run again this year. And we'll be taking those up until the week before Friday the 13th. Get your entries in, especially the under 20s. We need to know that we have a viable competition before we can start planning that timesheet. But certainly the under 16s and will be very good.
And just when we say under 20, we mean if a player was under 28 on the 25th of May.
Well, the 25th of May. Yeah, the 25th of May. That would have been the approximate date from when they were under 16 back in 2018, and we went with the same closing date and whatever. So if you haven't turned 20 before the 25th of May, you're under 20. So look, it would be nice to get somewhere between 24 to 32 players playing in it. It would make it a viable competition. There's lots on blow in Munster that weekend. The Tralee Scratch Cup is on the Saturday. St Anne's in Cork is on the Sunday. So under 20s are in a different situation to under 16s. They travel around a bit themselves. A lot of them drive or whatever, and they come with the lads. So we'd be aiming to play that maybe early on the Saturday morning, and they could move on and play in different things around the place. And that's what we're trying to do. Limit the travelling and let them come and enjoy themselves. And look, we're going to a fabulous course, and I don't need to tell you that. And we're really looking forward to it.
Well, Mark, I suppose we better stop before we're accused of promoting Munster pitch and foot even.
Well, look, I have no problem spending a few minutes on Leinster pitch and put, because I'll tell you, this year I've seen some fantastic play up in Leinster for all the competitions I went this year. It was an absolute pleasure to go to. Like, I've been to courses this year I've never seen before in my life, and real little gems that we're thinking about running competitions. They're looking for competitions for next year going forward. The game of pitch and putt at club level is coming out strong from COVID. It was a tough couple of years. Numbers wise, I would say if you go back to 2019, at the end of this year, we'll probably be up over 2,000. Yes, we'll have lost from COVID times, but they were exceptional. But we have to figure out how we can get those people back. But we'll be up over 8,000, I would think, for this year, which would be a net gain since 2019 of 2,000 people, which would be okay, and I'd be happy enough to take it. And we'll go on from there. And look, we have exciting times coming, development wise. There's new things coming forward. There will be a revamp again. We're looking at the calendar again. Great suggestions coming in from loads of people all over the country about the calendar. We got a few things wrong this year, of course we did. We looked at it, and it got jam packed. But our main focus this year was making sure that the clubs had their scratch cups, their opens, and we tried to fit everything in. But look, we're looking at it. I get emails every week from people saying, would you try this, would you think about this? And we're going to, the very near future, next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at the calendar for next year, and then we'll be looking for clubs to submit for their scratch cups and opens again, and we'll go from there.
Well, Mark, I think we've been online for well over an hour now, and it's been great to talk to everyone tonight. We'll call it quits now. Just to thank everyone for joining us. Just to say that anyone missing out on this, we will be putting this up on our YouTube channel sometime tomorrow, along with those over 55s interviews, which will be text interviews that John Manning did. They will also be going up on our website tomorrow. But to our 5 champions and Mark, I thank you all for joining us tonight. We wish you all a great weekend to pitch and put this bank holiday weekend, whatever event you're playing in. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason.